Hey there, welcome back to the DFS Build NBA edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, joined with Taylor Smith. We're going to go over the DraftKings main slate for NBA on Thursday, December 12th. The goal is to help you win money, point you to the plays that we like the most, talk about ownership, matchups, and all that stuff, and hopefully geared towards cashing or even getting the takedown. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? If all that sounds good to you, smash that like button. That helps us out quite a bit. And if you think you like it and it ends up helping you too, why don't you also subscribe to the channel so you can get alerted to more videos just like this. We also cover NFL main slate, and we do showdown slates, and we also do NBA every day that we can. So help us out a little bit those two ways, and we will try to return the favor. All right, we go position by position here. We're going to start at point guard. Leading the way is De'Aaron Fox with a 45-point fantasy projection. He's carrying some ownership as he would. And Cade Cunningham shares a very similar projection. He's $600 more, but he is not nearly as owned. He has to travel to Boston and take on the Celtics. That is probably a good reason why. So why don't we start there, because those guys have the best two projections of the slate at point guard. Which one do you like more?
Between who?
De'Aaron Fox and Cade Cunningham.
It's going to be Fox. I want to get more Cunningham than I am. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to set a rule to where if I have at least 4 Celtics in a lineup, it will automatically have Cade in it, because I'm getting a lot of 4 Celtics builds anyway. And I think the obvious way for the 4 of them together to get there would be if the game is close. So Cade is the most obvious play on the Pistons side. There is a questionable guy on the Pistons that could open up some value there, but not at point guard. I think Fox is the better play overall. But the starting lineup, the way they have it now with Monk in there, like they're just splitting the usage essentially between those 4, and then Keegan Murray is just getting completely shut out. So I think the ceilings for the Kings stars are a little bit capped when they're all in the lineup. I think both are fine plays. I'm getting to more Fox as of now, though.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go the other way there. Obviously, I like the price point for Fox a lot better. Fox is certainly in a good spot against the Pels. There's nothing wrong with him at all. They project the same. I just think Cunningham's a little more interesting for tournaments because he's not going to be nearly as owned. I really like the thought of if the system and just logic is pushing us to Celtics, makes a little bit of sense to go get the best Piston available. By the way, Cunningham has averaged 56 fantasy points per game in the 2 meetings against Celtics, so it's not a matchup that he's had a lot of trouble in. And he's been really good lately, 61 and 71 fantasy points in his last 2 games. So really no real reason to not like Cade, especially with Jason Tatum out. It's a little bit less likely that this game would get out of hand early. So I kind of like that logic of going and making Cade one of your pricey priorities if you're going to be playing a lot of Celtics. And honestly, maybe if you're not, he just still looks good.
I don't really see a way to not play a bunch of Celtics on this slate.
So. No, I know. I'm just saying if for some reason you want to go against the grain or anything, I still think Cade is a really good play at 7% ownership. Not sure that holds, but if it does, I'm interested in him a lot. And since him and Fox just look like the same play, I think I just will prefer him over Fox. Not that I have a problem with Fox. That's just where I see it. It's kind of like yesterday, Brunson versus Trey. That kind of worked out, and Trey had like 47 fantasy points. It's the same thing. Like, still a good play, but I think I prefer the guy with a higher ceiling and lower ownership. There are other good plays at point guard, though. Tyler Hero projects well at 7.7K with a 40-point fantasy projection. DeJounte Murray with no Brandon Ingram. Who's the other guy for the Pels that's out? No Brandon Ingram and
Hawkins and Alvarado and Javonte Green.
Yeah, so they're shorthanded on the wing for sure. So DeJounte Murray at 8.3 looks pretty darn good. The projection feels a little bit low, to be honest. Although I guess CJ McCollum projects better, and he's $900 cheaper, so you certainly can play both of them. I think I prefer Murray in tournaments, a little bit less owned. The price might deter people a little bit too. I just think he has a better ceiling. Derek White is going to look awesome here with no Tatum. 6.7K, he is way too cheap. He looks really good. Peyton Pritchard, 5.4K. He is definitely in play now with Tatum out. Drew Holiday at 5K flat looks like a smash play, which, of course, he's going to go full Cole Anthony and Miles McBride on us, surely. But he looks great. There's nothing wrong with him at all. I'm kind of out on Malik Monk for the reasons you said, but also his price at 7.3 is just a little bit steep for me, especially with all this other nice mid-range value on Boston. Jaden Ivey at 7.2 is a big F no. The Pels are kind of shorthanded, so Brandon Boston at 4.8, maybe. Davion Mitchell at 4.3 looks pretty good. I don't mind him at all. 29 projected minutes. Matchup stinks, but he looks good. Drew Smith is popping at 3.5K. I guess I don't know. I don't know about that one. All right, so let's get your thoughts on the mid-range and the punts at point guard.
Yeah, I have a lot of Drew Smith as of now. He's 3.5. He's been playing pretty big minutes off the bench, at least 20 in 4 of the last 5 games. Pell Larson is out. Josh Richardson is out. Nikola Jovic is out of the rotation. So the way it is now, Smith looks like a pretty good value. It's pretty risky. Obviously, the minutes are not guaranteed, but on this slate, we're kind of lacking like true punts, like super cheap stuff. So I don't mind it. I don't want his ownership to get steamed up. If he does, if he's like a Miles McBride looking kind of value, then I'm happy to go away from it. But as of now, the ownership's relatively reasonable, so I don't mind that at all. Derek White, probably my favorite overall play at this position, under 7K. Yep. Obviously, no Tatum, no Hauser, so minutes should be pretty secure for him. Pritchard looks good. Holiday looks good. I have interest in Hero quite a bit. I wish he wasn't point guard only, but it is what it is. I think Murray's a better play than McCollum. And then I do have a lot of Malik Monk. I think the shooting guard eligibility makes him look pretty appealing.
Yeah, I think Malik Monk in a vacuum is a good play based off of his starting role and usage. But I just think those Kings kind of eat into each other, like you said. And there's also just there's other good plays at point guard and shooting guard. So I guess we'll kind of part ways on that one. Hey, if you had to pick one between Pritchard and Drew Holiday, they're basically the same price, projection for similar minutes. They're obviously in the same spot. Which one do you prefer?
Pritchard.
Okay. I think I might go Drew there just because of the savings and,
Pritchard's just a better per minute guy. Holiday's kind of a passenger, so not a huge ceiling with him.
Yeah, it's possible he sees a spike, though. No, Tatum obviously has a lot of usage when he's in there. But yeah, they both look good. We might just go separate ways on that one, too. I don't think I'm really going to go the Drew Smith route. Hopefully something else opens up, or just hopefully I get to a lineup that doesn't really need him. But yeah, I mean, he's getting minutes, so he's certainly in play. Jaylen Brown at shooting guard. He leads the way with a 45-point fantasy projection. He looks awesome, 8.2K. He's way too cheap anyways. Now you take Tatum out of the equation, he's really way too cheap. So he looks like a smash. Don't really care about his ownership at all. He's probably going to be in all my lineups. CJ McCollum, again, looks good. Good projection, good price. Again, I still think I just prefer paying up for DeJounte Murray, just a higher ceiling there. Derek White, again, looks good. Malik Monk is fine. I just don't really love him at that price point personally. Trey Murphy looks awesome at 6.5K with Brandon Ingram out and all those other guys for the Pels dead. He is too cheap. Grady Dick looks pretty good at 5.8K. Not a great matchup against Miami with Jimmy Butler and everything on the wing, but no Emmanuel Quickly and no Scotty Barnes. So a lot of usage for the Raptors guys, and I think just based off his price, that I'm okay with taking on the risk of a bad matchup. Duncan Robinson's popping at 4.2K, but in the name of Drew Smith, I don't love it. But like you said, not a lot of value that we can feel really good about. I do think with the Raptors shorthanded, Davion Mitchell, again, I'll mention when we're talking about point guards, but he looks pretty viable at 4.3K. I think I'd prefer him over Duncan Robinson, especially that he's coming in at half the ownership at the moment. Maybe we can look at Jacoby Walter, with the dead bodies in Toronto. I don't feel great about it. I'd rather just do Davion Mitchell there, I think. Not really seeing anything else pop. What about you?
Nope.
All right. Well, that does that. All right. At small forward, RJ Barrett looks awesome at 8.8K. He's $600 more than Jaylen Brown. I mean, he's going to be less owned than Jaylen Brown, but he is more expensive and they project almost the same. So I think if you're going between the two, I'm just going to stay with Jaylen. RJ Barrett looks really good, though. I have no problem with living in the mid-range and kind of going away from paying for premium options here. Like, I don't think I need to go get Sabonis on this slate. And obviously there's no Tatum. So I think like RJ Barrett being my most expensive play at 8.8K is not the worst thing. I don't mind that. Jimmy Butler looks really good at 7.4K. I'm a little, maybe tell me if I'm like listening to too much noise here or not, but I'm a little worried about like all the trade rumors and like, could that impact Butler's minutes, his motivation? Like, could we get an in-game benching because a trade goes down? And like, I don't know. I don't like playing guys when we know for a fact that they kind of want out and like the team is shopping him. It's just a weird situation. I kind of want to avoid it. That said, price and matchup are awesome. Like normally I'd not be worried at all. He looks really good at 7.4. Already talked about Trey Murphy, and DeMar DeRozan looks decent at 7.9. What do you think up top at small forward?
The best play. He was projecting insanely well for me, even with Tatum in. Like the matchup against Detroit, like small forwards, he's just shredded them over the years.
Yeah.
So, second game in a row, he'll be playing against them without Tatum. Very obvious play. Trey Murphy's fine. RJ Barrett looks good. I like Herb Jones and Keegan Murray as mid-range values. Murray's usage is in the tank, but the minutes are still there. The game, in theory, is going to be competitive, so I don't think he's a bad mid-range play. Herb Jones, same thing. Like the minutes are through the roof for him. They're going to need his defense with those perimeter scorers for Sacramento on the other side. So good spot for him. I like that quite a bit. Jimmy wasn't really getting into my lineups anyway. Like I don't care about the trade stuff, but just the way I'm getting to it, like I don't want more than two of Hero, Bam, or Jimmy, and Jimmy's kind of the odd man out there for the most part. So not loving that. And then DeRozan as a differentiator is okay. I would be happy to see Haywood Highsmith, especially if he's going to be somewhat owned.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, you never seem to be into Highsmith, and for good reason. Yeah, DeRozan is
because he sucks.
Yeah, that is good reason. DeRozan is interesting because he is ownership leverage on what is a chalky Sabonis. I think he's still chalky. I'm not sure, but and Fox is going to carry some ownership for sure. So yeah, I don't mind him at all. And obviously he's cheaper than both those guys, and he does have a ceiling. So DeRozan's on my radar. Not really a priority because I kind of prefer Jaylen Brown and RJ, and in that same price range, I think I might also prefer Jimmy Butler. If you're not worried about the trade stuff, maybe I shouldn't be either, but for some reason I am a little bit. Wasn't really getting to him anyways. It's just when you see Jimmy Butler at 7.4K, it's like that feels way too cheap. Like I kind of want to get in on that. But yeah, I agree with those other values. Herbert Jones at 5K, great call out. I really didn't get to the value guys yet at that spot, but he's easily the best one at small forward in particular. And you can use him at power forward, which is probably where I will slide him in tonight. If we go over to power forward, the best option in terms of raw points projection is Jimmy Butler. So you can pay up there if you'd like to. And right behind him is DeMar DeRozan. Again, still in play for sure. Tobias Harris at 5.9K. Don't think I want to do that. Keegan Murray, I think he's okay. Low usage, great minutes. That's about all the argument you'll get from me. He is good. He has a good price for a guy who's going to play like 36 minutes. So, and the matchup against Pels is as good as it gets. Love Herbert Jones, best value, one of the best values of the slate. I don't see anybody else that is a major priority. I see guys that are getting minutes like Al Horford, Agbaji, and Highsmith. I don't see any of them as guys that I have to play, but I think they're all in play.
I would much rather play Mobo than Highsmith. With Scotty Barnes out a few more minutes to go around, he's cheap. He's pretty good per minute. Just a lot more upside with Mobo than there is with Highsmith, I think. Horford is a priority for me on this slate, just cheap. I think he's going to start in place of Tatum. Not concerned that he's starting next to Porzingis, like he's played plenty of the four over the years. So Horford at a cheap salary, not really projecting to be like mega chalk, I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, his minutes have seen an uptick too. Even with Porzingis back, he's playing 30 plus minutes every game, and now no Tatum. So that would be pretty cemented. So yeah, I'm not going out of my way to play a dusty Al Horford, but he is 4.9K and no Tatum. So 100% he is in play. I think that does it for power forward, unless you want to play Tobias Harris.
Not really.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right, over to center we go. Sabonis leading the way with a 50-point fantasy projection. I think he has the best projection in the entire slate. Let's see. Yep, sure does. All right, so he looks great against the Pels. The Pels are not good. They're not a defense to fear down low, so he should be pretty busy on the boards and perhaps scoring inside. 9.5K. I think he's the most expensive player of the slate with Tatum removed. I have no qualms getting to him. If he's going to be chalky, though, if things shift and he ends up being really chalky, I don't think it's going to. If he was chalky, I would not be very into him. But if he's going to be only like 20% owned, like it's currently projecting, then I would start getting more interested in him. That said, it's hard to get super excited about paying up for Sabonis when Porzingis is right there. Even Bam and Pirtle to a lesser extent. Those guys both project really well. But Porzingis is the cheapest of the three, and he's going to benefit immensely from Tatum being out. So ownership be damn. Porzingis looks like the best center play of the slate. He looks really, really good. I mean, any of these guys are good. Sabonis, Porzingis, Bam, and Pirtle are all in play. I think Bam would rank last for me out of that group, but I still think he looks good. And then Miss Misi for value at 5K against the Kings. I mean, I'm a little bit worried about foul trouble against Sabonis, but he will be needed. His size is needed there, and he's been inconsistent but good. And we know he's going to get minutes. And 5K is a little bit too cheap for who he is. I guess his presence might play into the Al Horford ownership not spiking, and obviously Porzingis and all these other Boston guys. So like you can't play everybody in a lineup. So that's my guess is that's why that's happening. So if you had to pick between Misi and Horford, are you still going Horford there?
Well, you can play them both because Horford
Sure.
is power forward, so I'm getting into a lot of both of them here. We can add Isaiah Stewart to the equation if Jalen Duren is out. Duren got a midday downgrade at questionable, so
Never ideal.
no, but Stewart's okay per minute if he starts at center.
No,
Pretty
I mean
obvious
the
payoff potential.
midday questionable downgrade.
Oh, yeah. Well, Stewart's 3.6, so like
Yeah,
he's
I'm
going to
with
become
you.
the mega chalk if Duren's out. So that's probably going to lower Horford even more, I would think. So that just makes me like Horford more. Stewart, I would still play. It's a little concerning, like Isaiah Stewart mega chalk day, but I think Isaiah Stewart being a play would also probably lower the ownership on Drew Smith. So I guess that's someone you can consider as well at point guard. But Porzingis is the top guy for me here. Misi, a great value. Horford, Stewart. Pirtle gets a big usage boost without Scotty. I think that's worth noting. He's 7'5".
For sure.
Don't mind that. Even against Miami. Bam, kind of secondary play. Sabonis. I like the matchup for Sabonis. Like Misi is the only real big on the roster. So in theory, he should feast. But again, with Monk in the lineup, his usage goes down. His ceiling's been kind of elusive. So fine play, but not a must.
Yeah, I think if Duren is out, I'm not going to get cute with the Isaiah Stewart thing. He's not like the best per minute guy in the world, but 3.6K is probably way too cheap for him in that spot. So I'd probably just do it. I feel it's not like the same as Cole Anthony and Miles McBride of the last 2 days, where those guys are just typically like Cole's just a volatile guy in terms of role and performance anyways. And McBride is like, okay, he'll get 25 plus minutes off the bench, but who knows what he's going to do with that. In this case, Stewart actually would start and he would be needed because the best plays or one of the best plays for Boston, Porzingis, is going to be in there and they're going to need his size. So I think if that's the case, Stewart looks like a smash play at 3.6K. I understand your concern though. If chalky Isaiah Stewart doesn't feel great.
Yeah, but he's so cheap that like
right, 100%.
He kind of has to pay off.
I agree. So all right, let's wrap things up with our top flag plant of the slate and our overall strategy.
Jaylen Brown is too obvious. Like I will be playing him maybe in every single lineup I have, kind of like Towns last night. But let's see. I guess I'll flag plant Hero. I'm coming in pretty heavily over the field on him. Matchup against Toronto's a great one. No Barnes defense and all that. So Hero in the mid range, I think, is probably my favorite non-Jaylen Brown play.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm with you. It's like you got to play a lot of these Boston guys. I think I'm going Cade Cunningham. If that ownership actually sticks, I love paying for Cade coming across from these Boston guys. I think the other thing is when I'm not paying for Cade, I think I'm not going to pay for anybody. I think in the lineups where I'm not going to do the Cade thing, I'm going to probably just fade Sabonis and try not to go up over 9K and go really, really balanced so I don't have to take like a lot of these punts like Drew Smith or Isaiah Stewart or whatever. Obviously, if Isaiah Stewart starts, that's different. But I don't really want to take all these dives if I don't have to. And the mid-range looks really, really good. There's quite a few guys with over 40-point fantasy projections. There's quite a few guys like CJ McCollum, Derek White, Jimmy Butler, where the projection honestly feels a little bit light. So like I wouldn't be surprised at all if they completely smashed. And even if you don't agree with that, you definitely agree that their prices feel really low. Like they're definitely discounted plays. For the current situation, Derek White is definitely way too cheap, and his projection feels pretty light as well. So the real question for me is how many Celtics is too many Celtics?
5. I think I would play 4. I would go with 3 on a bigger slate, but on a small slate, I think I would cap it at 4.
Well, I think right now this is where I'm at. I think I'm definitely playing Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, and Derek White. I'm definitely playing those 3. So the question is, out of Horford, Pritchard, and Drew, which of those values do you feel the best about? Like, which one are you going and playing for sure? Because I mean, you're not going to play everybody, and you're not going to play. I don't think you want to play 2 out of the 3. So that's where I'm at. I'm probably going to pick one of those values to pair with those other 3 guys. Because Derek White is not like, you're not really strapped for cash for any of them. Jaylen Brown's maxing you at 8.2K. Can you go into this slate with Jaylen Brown as your true stud?
Yeah, like there's enough mid range, like Hero, White, Porzingis, Murphy.
Yeah.
Like you can do a balanced build and not have to dive necessarily for Drew Smith if you don't want to. And like the spins are Sacramento guys, so like I don't know, I don't feel super compelled to pay for them if I don't love it. And then Cade like looks good, but not a must.
No, but I think that's where I'm at. Definitely eating the Boston chalk, making a decision, picking one of those Boston values, or if you're doing a lot of lineups, rotating them in. I'd probably make a rule not to play them together personally, just because I think the high end guys are going to have such high usage and it's such a good spot that they're all going to smash. And then I would run back with Cade for most of those. And the ones I'm not, I think I'm just going completely down the middle with either Jaylen Brown or RJ Barrett being the most expensive guy in my lineup. I think that's an interesting way to gain leverage on the slate, just because those Kings guys are going to carry ownership for sure. All right, that does it for us. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and good luck.